The following program is not meant for those under the age of 18. There's explicit and adult content. Please enjoy. Host Guy Shay, Rave Live.
Not quite into the 12 days of dwindling Christmas holiday time yet. Rage Live with your host, Guy Shay. Part of the HTLA New York family. Outstanding shows. You can hear them on iHeart, everywhere. Pretty much open your window, stick your ear to it in the malls, and or maybe even for Muzak pretty soon. But I don't know what you're raging about, but I'm raging a little bit on Rage Live today. December 12th. Do you realize that we passed December 7th, and for the first time in distant memory, I don't recall hearing too much about the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor. I guess all's forgiven now that they've pretty much become a suburb of the United States. I mean, go to any place in New York. How about your computer components? I'm not saying it's not bad. I'm not saying we should hold a grudge. But remember, these people attacked us not that long ago. We're not talking about 1,000 years ago. We remember Christ, but we don't remember the Japanese bombing one of our naval bases and thousands of people dying? Well, yeah, but it's all changed now, or has it? And the reason I'm people freedom. Heck, this country even tells people how many children they have, how to dress. I mean, Mao Zedong's not that far in the distant past with this country. Yet I seem to see a lot of real estate purchase in New York City, the state of New York, across the U.S., and of course, we're doing economic trade with them. So I guess all's forgiven. Well, maybe. Not if you ask Donald Trump, it's not. And he reminded me, and now, no, I'm not a Donald Trump for president fan. That would be like me saying, you know what, I want to give Jesse Jackson my vote. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Too extreme on both sides, and maybe a little nutty. Plus, you can't trust a guy with blow-dried hair anyway. The point I'm making is he did make one comment that sounded sort of interesting and maybe even intelligent. He said, look, how can we trust China when we're doing business with them and they're destroying the American economy? And you got to give the guy credit. I had a flashback to the Nixon days when he punished the Japanese for trying to bring their crappy cars over and taking all the money out of our economy, sending it back to Japan. Now, how's that help the U.S. worker? Japanese cars and their manufacturing plants do not allow for unions. They go to areas that are usually destitute, and people are so starved for any kind of job that they can hire them for less than what the United Auto Workers would mandate for American car manufacturers, making them cheaper. Cheaper metal, by the way, they get from us, leftovers, and then they turn around and now the Japanese manufacturers, Honda, et cetera, have become bed pals with some of the big GM companies. I don't know. Look at the frames on the cars. Where is this stuff made? Stuff made in Canada, Mexico? How about this? How about we put a tariff like Nixon did and said, look, even if you're manufacturing your Japanese car, and make no mistake, Mitsubishi, Hyundai, Korean, derived from these cars, the majority of which does not relocate itself into the circle known as our economy. No, it goes back to other countries. Now, I'm not saying starve these nations or drop another atomic bomb on them. Of course not. We've moved past that, I hope. What I am saying, if you're going to fix the American economy, you can't ignore the auto industry. I know we already had the bailouts, except for Ford that says, forget you, Obama, I don't want your money. And most of them have paid back, if not most, all of their money. Now, I'm not talking about the banks. That was just a mistake, obviously. They had one big six-pack party on the American taxpayers' dollars thanks to this magical president. What I am saying is you got to make it here and keep it here. Even Sam Walton, before he turned over in his grave with the current Walmart CEOs, said, you know what, bring it home to America. If something's made overseas, let's tariff that. Tariff obviously being a tax put on, an additional tax, making it a little bit less desirable to buy a car where the money goes out of the U.S. And then maybe you rethink that Impala, or maybe you rethink that Chevy. I don't know. Money has to stay in the country. If everything leaves, how is it helping us? Well, what about those workers working for less than union wages? Yeah, well, what are they paying them again? And they don't have enough money left over to really recycle in the economy. They're just barely making their rent payments. Maybe accountability might just be the savior of our nation. Now, what does that mean? Who wants to be accountable for anything? Shouldn't we just say what we want? Isn't that freedom? No accountability. Well, that's sort of like saying, a rapist shouldn't go to prison. I don't agree with that. Politicians should be held accountable also for their words, don't you think? If you lie to a nation, isn't that treason by definition? Possibly. Now, I'm not trying to beat up on Obama. He's done a damn good job himself over the last 7 years. And, of course, 2016, not that far away. But plenty of time to make more mistakes for the U.S. Looks like he's not done. This immigration deal is disgusting. Now, yes, you have to be humanistic. And I'm jumping around because this is just a quick thought from HTLA. Not trying to destroy your Christmas mood or ruin your retail wet dream. Absolutely not. Go out there and piss your money away. I'm sure you're helping people. Remember, you don't love your children unless you buy them something expensive, right? Well, it's probably made in Japan anyway, so maybe you're helping them out. Don't forget, bonsai this Christmas. Anyway, accountability, why not? How about this? And I'm all for it. If you mess up, you got to own it. If a judge makes a mistake, put him in prison. If a lawyer lies and makes a mistake, put him in prison too. Well, that's not fair for the criminal. Well, I got news. Don't be a criminal, and you might not go to jail. And that's going to jump me into this whole thing about Ferguson. And it's not Ferguson. It's this whole idea of you get special conditions based on your skin color. It shouldn't work that way for anybody. Black, white, green, not even those Japanese that turned around and attacked Pearl Harbor. If we're going to move forward, we have to start having accountability. Think about this. If you mess up, regardless of your color, you go to jail. Now, how's that not fair? Well, they're saying they're stereotyping, but don't forget to ask the ultimate question. Did you commit a crime? Well, yeah, but that's not what I want to talk about. Well, that's what I want to talk about. You're not in jail for being black. You're not in jail for being Hispanic. You're not in jail for being a Caucasian. You're in jail for being a criminal. So why not just own it and shut your mouth? Maybe next time you'll learn. But that seems to be the problem. Just like crackheads, there seems to be a 90% chance that they're going to return to the same crime they originally committed. Aren't you supposed to learn from your mistakes? Maybe prison isn't tough enough. Something like, I don't know, make a Paris Island for prisoners. Pick some crummy place, one of those islands nobody goes to that we still own. Maybe put them there, a little hard labor, making big rocks into little rocks. Or, how about this? Violent crimes ends in your death. Oh, well, we can't have that because all the feel-gooders wouldn't like it. Well, until their house is robbed, burned down, and their children are raped. Then they have a difference of opinion. It works that way with everything. There's a reason that more than 70% of the U.S. households own weapons. And they're telling you that's bad because weapons kill people. Well, not really. People kill people. Before there were guns, there were spears. Before spears, arrows. And if that didn't work, they were beating each other to death with a rock or choking each other out. It's just human nature. Those canines in your mouth, just like your appendix, there's a reason for that. We're not past eating grass and biting meat. Think about it. You have molars, sure. When's the last time you seen a human being out there grazing in the field? And I'm not talking about the nut house. Once again, it takes you right back to accountability. If you eat grass and you talk to yourself, maybe you are crazy. Maybe it's not bipolar. Maybe you're a lunatic and should be locked on Paris Island for criminals. Just a thought. How about this? We used to have a military or prison deal. It worked out. Think about it. If you screw up, your option isn't to sit around, meet new criminals, and learn how to do your trade better. But you got to go to the military. We're going to stick you in some country that's really horrible. And then you're going to bitch and cry about your freedoms, except nobody's going to be listening because you're too busy in the prone position trying not to get your head blown off. Thank you. That's what I think. I think it's the best thing, and the best thing is always the right thing. Now, granted, doing the right thing sometimes gets you put on a list that sounds like, please screw me over, and you get the T-shirt. But you know what? If everybody would own their mistakes and be accountable for it with a penalty, perhaps the mistakes would be less. How about these fraudulent lawsuits? How about these frivolous lawsuits? How about these people just getting narcotics because they want to get high? Think about this. How about the people that really need them? Should they be punished for the few bad apples? No. The government's got to stop making feel-good policies. Nobody believes it. How about this war on drugs? Who's winning? Who exactly are on the two different sides? I'm confused. If you want to stop drugs, legalize some of them. Take the value away. It will destroy the black market. Yeah, I know, I'm going to get the reference to prohibition, but that's different. Just like cigarettes, the government makes buku dollars. How about government weed? GOP reefer? I don't know. How about democratic Wawa? Doesn't make any sense. Wacky tobacco? Why not make it legal? The only people making money then are the people selling it legally and the government. And I bet you more people aren't going to smoke dope if it's legal. They're already smoking it now, and they're paying too much. Do everyone a favor. If you want to have a war on drugs, go after heroin. Go after something that's not natural. I'm not saying light up your pipe. No. I'm not saying get out your bong and high up. Of course not. Besides, who really cares? Maybe the grocery industry could back marijuana use. Besides, they're going to get munchies. Maybe 7-Eleven can have drive-thrus. It makes sense. More accountability. But if you drive your car when you're high, you go to prison. On Paris Island, get to make those big rocks into little rocks. Maybe they can make gravel and Home Depot can sell it. I don't know. This world's gone crazy. I just wanted to dump some short thoughts on you. I could dump something else, but I'm not going to do that. And by the way, if I hear this sound one more time, I'm going to be filled with rage.
And it goes like this. Take me by the tongue and I'll know you. Cast me till you're drunk and I'll show you all the moves like Jagger. I got them moves like Jagger. I got them moves like Jagger.
Rage Live with your host, Guy Shay. Part of the HTLA family. And remember, anything I say on this program isn't necessarily the exact opinion of HTLA or anybody else on this planet. Well, maybe some people in some insane asylums. You got to speak the truth and you got to own your words. So let's continue on. I'm keeping this a short thought. Hell, I may even do another one later. On occasion, I have more than one thought a day. But there's no shortage of my mouth yakking, just like the spinning heads on mass media, mainstream TV. Why are there stereotypes? It would take me an hour to go into that. You can figure that out on your own. Middle America doesn't need to wake up. We're already awake. We just don't have much to say. Well, except for me. Maybe I'm a target, but it's okay because I'll be accountable for the words I say. How come we always hear the complaining from the left wing? Think about it. The liberals out there complain. They have no problem pointing out the problems, but what I never hear is a solution. And it's not Obamacare. That's a failed thing. Expect that to be repealed, I don't know, on the very next day after the new president's sworn in. And I agree with that. Go back to being an indigent. You're already at the hospital anyway, not paying your bills. It's the truth. And how about what's hitting America today? I go to, YouTube, Yahoo, and the first thing I see on national news, and I'm talking about the entire United States, one of the headline stories today, and this just blew me away. There's a mother that enjoys eating at least one roll of toilet paper a day. Yeah, I'm dumbfounded too. Now they say this might be a chemical imbalance. I don't know. Should people that eat toilet paper daily have children? I'm not getting it. Anyway, this is Rage Live. Until next time, remember, keep your pants up, wear a belt, and don't be a deer caught in the headlights.